While having dinner with Ethan, someone mentioned that their snoring affected their wife. Everyone present looked at me. Liam, Ethan's assistant, suddenly said, "Sophia seems to have that problem too, right? If you have any useful medication, share some with Sophia, or Mr. Ethan will keep having bad luck." I looked at my husband, who was laughing indifferently beside me. "Why didn't you tell them you're too small, so small that even an umbrella would fall off?" My words landed squarely on him. He finally composed himself, his laughter fading. His ears blushed deeply, and he looked at me with reproach. "Why are you throwing a tantrum all of a sudden?" I glanced around at the onlookers. Moments ago, they had been secretly chuckling, but now they were all silent. It turned out they weren't lacking in discernment. They simply thought I was someone they could provoke, but Ethan was not. However, when it was Ethan's turn to make a fool of himself, he wouldn't be as unbothered as he was just now. "I'm throwing a tantrum? As your colleagues, how would they know about my snoring? What, did you secretly record my sleeping and play it for them to laugh at?" I spoke softly. Yet, everyone present averted their gaze in shame. Chloe, the girl who had just started the commotion, suddenly raised her glass to me. "Sophia, I was wrong." I spoke out of turn, but Mr. Ethan truly didn't do such a thing. That sentence seemed to make the others at the table come to their senses. They all raised their glasses. "That's right, Sophia, Mr. Ethan isn't that kind of person. Sophia, please don't be angry. Mr. Ethan would never discuss your marital issues with us." I looked at Ethan, who was suppressing his anger. "Then why don't you tell me how they knew?" A brief, awkward silence fell over the scene. It was Chloe who finally responded. "It was when our department had an overtime meeting some time ago. Someone saw Mr. Ethan was still on an audio call with you, and someone turned off the mute on the earpiece." Chloe spoke, her eyes darting around. I remembered that day. It was early last month. After I got home, I took a nap. When I woke up, Ethan hadn't returned, so I called him. He said their department was busy with a project. He probably wouldn't be back for a while. As he spoke, sleepiness washed over me again, and I fell asleep holding my phone. When I woke up, the call was still connected. I could faintly hear laughter, but I didn't think much of it. At the time, I heard a door closing on the other end, and Ethan said, "Don't worry, I just muted my microphone." I just assumed he hadn't unmuted the audio call after I fell asleep. I didn't ask for details. I never imagined that in a corner I didn't know about, my snoring had become an anecdote, spread throughout their department. Ethan didn't seem to think it was a big deal. He was still immersed in his anger that I had publicly exposed his flaws. I looked at Chloe. "Who turned off the mute?" Chloe's face went pale as a sheet. I scanned the people at the table. An idea had already formed in my mind. "Was it you?" Chloe became speechless, biting her lip and not daring to look me in the eyes. Before I could say anything else, Ethan, who had been as quiet as a mouse beside me, suddenly roared. "Enough. It's such a small matter, why are you making a big deal out of it?" As soon as he said that, Chloe sighed in relief, sat back down, and furtively touched her chest in relief. Everyone present instantly understood Ethan's stance. They all chimed in. "That's right, Sophia, she just graduated, she doesn't know how to act responsibly." "Exactly, she's just a bit naive, it wasn't intentional." I recalled how she had meaningfully added that Mr. Ethan would keep having bad luck when she mentioned my snoring. I truly couldn't believe there was no malice in that statement. Since everyone present was on the same side, there was no need for me to stay. I abruptly stood up from my seat. I said sarcastic all. "Why, actually, Ethan is a good leader. He's complained to me more than once that your morale is low and needs encouragement, especially the new hires who don't know anything. If it weren't for their cheap labor, he would have fired them long ago. Even with as much resentment as he harbored, he still hadn't given up on you." A deathly silence fell over the room. I raised an eyebrow. "I'm leaving. You all enjoy your drinks." As I took a step away, Ethan tried to grab my arm, but I easily dodged him. Perhaps to maintain his dignity, Ethan didn't follow me. It was the moment I buckled my seatbelt that memories of this new hire flooded my mind. Ethan had already told me about a new graduate who joined the company. She had chosen this job despite it being outside her major. Whenever he mentioned her, he looked troubled. He said her work ability was poor, but she was skilled at office politics. All the company employees liked her. Later, Ethan seemed to become more tolerant of her. He said she had the Gen Z attitude towards the workplace. Taking the boss's phone without permission, casually operating it while the boss was on a call with his wife. What an outrageous thing to do. She thought it was fine, and Ethan actually thought it was fine too. Those employees also watched the show. I wouldn't care about what others thought, but had always been reserved and serious in professional settings. If he indulged a subordinate in mocking his wife, what did that signify? How could I not understand? My heart shattered into dust. In the driver's seat, I raised my hand to wipe away the tears that had suddenly welled up. For that night, Ethan came home very late. He was brought back by Liam, his male subordinate. I wasn't asleep. I could hear the assistant knocking on the door outside. Sophia, Sophia, open the door. Mr. Ethan, hold it in, don't throw up. After waiting a while and receiving no response, the male subordinate started complaining. They're both impossible to please individuals. Mr. Ethan, you yourself are reserved and serious, and you married a wife who's as stubborn and difficult as a rock. I lay on my pillow, curling my lips into a cold smile. Ethan was completely limp from drinking, and only remembered the house key code after Liam's frantic questioning. Once he had dropped Ethan off, Liam fled as if pardoned. As soon as he was home, Ethan seemed to suddenly regain consciousness. He kept howling in the living room, water, water. I threw off the covers. I went to the kitchen and poured a glass of water, and splashed it on his face. The ice-cold water seemed to sober him up considerably. Ethan opened his eyes, his gaze hazy, but I could see anger. He wiped his face. You're possessed today. He propped himself up on the couch with his elbow, managing to sit up. I'm possessed? Wasn't I getting you water? I gave him a fake smile. Ethan stood up. He was a head taller than me, and now he looked down at me, seemingly trying to assert dominance. What exactly do you want to do today? I looked at his bloodshot eyes. What do I want to do? When you played my snoring for your colleagues, why didn't you think about what you were doing? His breath was ragged. I already said I didn't play it. That's right, you didn't play it, but you allowed it, didn't you? Ethan was speechless. I turned and went back to the bedroom. Before I could close the door, he seemed to want to get the last word. He added, yes, I indulged her precisely because she won't be like you, acting as if she'll tear someone apart at the slightest displeasure. I paused, then slammed the door shut. 5 tear someone apart? Ethan spoke as if he was meeting me for the first time. Didn't I display this trait even when he was pursuing me? Back then, we were students from different departments. My impression of him was merely of a reserved academic with a refined appearance. Then, in our junior year of college, he blocked me at the classroom door. He said he needed to talk to me. I racked my brain, wondering if it was something related to the student or the registrar's office. I never expected Ethan to lead me to the big tree outside the teaching building. It was midsummer, with dappled sunlight through trees. Shifting shadows moved across his face. Watching his tense expression, I gradually realized something was off. Classmate? As usual. He confessed with a straight face, pretending not to care about the outcome. But after speaking, seeing my indifferent expression, a flicker of panic still crossed his face. I folded my arms and told him, I'm difficult to get along with, I have a bad temper, no one can stay with me long. So, to prevent me from upsetting you in the end, let's skip it. I was about to leave. He shifted to block my way. No. He said briefly and concisely. I was confused. No what? His gaze was evasive, feigning composure. My emotions are calm enough, you won't upset me. He stammered softly, you can do anything. Summer's vows were too intense. They clouded my judgment. But in the end, I was the only one who took those words to heart. 6 after that day, Ethan started not coming home. Either he was working overtime and came back late at night, or he wasn't coming home all night. Even when he did come home, I locked my bedroom door. I wouldn't share the same roof with him. Weekends were particularly difficult. Since we were both home, we were bound to run into each other. We pretended the other didn't exist, but always couldn't help but start sulking with me. Once, his phone rang while he was showering. I happened to walk past the cabinet, and my eyes drifted over. I saw 2 words on the screen, sweetheart. Just those 2 words sent me into a daze again. I didn't pay attention. While I was lost in thought, Ethan had already pushed open the bathroom door. He was wrapped in a towel, his eyes gleaming with a triumphant light. Who called? I scoffed. Don't you already know the answer? He seemed to be in an even better mood. Are you angry? Actually, I intentionally changed that contact name. We Only then did I realize this was his plan. Was there any point to this marriage in name only? I looked at him and shook my head. Ethan, when are we getting a divorce? His teasing smile vanished. Unreasonable. He returned to his home office. Soon after, he was dressed and rushed out the door. While he was putting on his shoes by the door, I said, I'm serious. In return, I received a gaze filled with anger from Ethan. I'm really fed up with you. How long are you going to make a big deal out of every little thing? Before I could speak, he slammed the door shut. The words I wanted to say were forced to be swallowed. Fed up with me? Then isn't it perfect to get a divorce? My heart was filled with helplessness and bitterness. 7 that night, my best friend Olivia from college suddenly invited me to dinner. Her relationships had always been unstable. She had finally found a boyfriend she'd been dating for 2 years. But on the eve of their wedding, she caught her boyfriend cheating. She was eating and drinking heavily, complaining to me, Sophia, you're so lucky. You and Ethan settled down since college. Your relationship must be very stable. I didn't want my friend to worry about me. So I didn't mention that Ethan and I weren't doing well either. But seemed to sense something was wrong. She stared fixedly in my direction, making me uncomfortable. What's wrong? She didn't move. It was then I realized she had been looking behind me. I turned around. The restaurant was bustling. A few tables away, I saw Ethan. A girl was sitting with her back to us. Long, straight hair, soft texture, dressed like someone in her early 20s. I knew who it was, but couldn't hold back. She was already at her most hateful towards cheating men. And now she had personally caught her friend's husband cheating. Before I could stop her, she stood up and rushed over. Cheaters! She marched aggressively. By the time I reacted, she had already crossed several tables and reached Ethan's table. She placed her hands on the table, and after seeing the girl's face, she became even more certain of her suspicions. Ethan, who is this woman? Seeing Ethan's face wasn't pleasant. Olivia, long time no see, but I don't have time for pleasantries today. His tone was harsh, carrying the resentment he held for me, extended to Olivia. Fearing would cause trouble, I quickly followed. Olivia, let's go eat first. Seeing me avoiding the issue like this, Olivia became even more convinced something had happened between us. Sophia, are you such a cowardly person? Tell me, is Ethan cheating? Her voice wasn't quiet, and people in the restaurant glanced sidelong. Chloe's ears blushed deeply in an instant. She lowered her head, like a helpless little rabbit. Ethan's protective instincts kicked in. He frowned. Olivia, your words are too harsh. This is just a colleague, we're just having a meal together. Olivia wasn't so easily fooled. She saw Ethan's protective stance and reached out, scratching Ethan's face. A colleague, is that right? What's a colleague doing behind Sophia's back? I couldn't stop her in time. In that moment, I belatedly remembered that Olivia was someone who preferred action over words. 8. The scene was exceptionally chaotic. By the time I reacted, I was already at the police station. The staff called the police. But because Olivia had injured someone, she was detained. That person wasn't Ethan. It was Chloe, the girl who tried to help when she saw Olivia scratching Ethan. She stood up abruptly. Olivia was in full combat mode. When pushed Olivia lost her balance. Chloe was knocked onto the table. As luck would have it, a sharp edge of metal sticking out from a nearby partition directly cut Chloe's face. Blood gushed. Chloe's face went white with shock in an instant. She clutched Ethan's hand. Mr. Ethan, I won't be disfigured, will I? Ethan was breathing heavily, and comforted her softly. No, I won't let you have a scar. After being bandaged at the hospital, Ethan brought Chloe from the hospital to the police station. Please, write a letter of understanding. Olivia didn't do it on purpose. As he spoke, I glanced at Ethan, who was simmering with anger. Everything started because of him, and he had the nerve to look at me like that. Chloe looked at me, her eyes welled up. She didn't speak. Ethan pulled her behind him. Don't worry, with me here, no one can bully you. I was speechless for a moment. Especially when I saw Chloe nod, touched, after hearing that. I couldn't hold back anymore. Ethan, have some conscience. You clearly know Olivia didn't actually hurt her. She was only aiming for you. If you hadn't pushed Olivia, how could Olivia have bumped into her? Ethan looked away. So what? Is facial injury fake? Do you know the doctor said this wound is very deep, it almost left a permanent scar? She's at an age where looks are most important. Hearing's words, Chloe's eyes reddened, and she tugged on Ethan's sleeve. Mr. Ethan, please stop. Ethan immediately came to his senses. Don't be afraid. The doctor said you won't have a scar. I looked at their charade and laughed. Chloe, be fair. You know better than anyone that Ethan pushed Olivia, and that's why she bumped into you, right? Chloe's eyes flickered, but she didn't speak. I could only look at Ethan. Then what do you need for her to write the letter of understanding? It's just a cut, right? Why don't you make a cut on my face too? I was being sarcastic, but Ethan already had a retort ready. I want Olivia to apologize to Chloe. Hearing that, I looked incredulous. Although wasn't very familiar with him, they were classmates. Besides, he knew better than anyone what had just happened. How could he say such a thing? I scoffed. All did was scratch you, and she didn't even break your skin. Apologize for what? Ethan held up his phone. After she caused such a scene in the restaurant, many netizens filmed it. Now this so-called best friend beating up the mistress video has spread throughout the city, with at least 1 million views. What's wrong with asking her to apologize? I glanced at the video. I looked at Ethan with disdain. Ethan, if you hadn't been having a private dinner with your subordinate, none of this would have happened. This whole thing started because Olivia couldn't stand seeing me being bullied, but shouldn't you reflect on your own behavior? If you want this video to continue to spread, it's not Olivia who's going to be anxious. Chloe awkwardly peeked out from beside him. Her timid appearance today was nothing like the charming socialite who knew how to play all sides at the last social gathering. Sophia, this is my fault. There were some things at work I didn't understand, so I wanted to pick Mr. Ethan's brain over dinner. I folded my arms. You can't pick his brain at the company, it has to be a private dinner? Then let me ask, what questions did you ask? Chloe was speechless. Ethan shielded her behind him. Well, she didn't even get to ask any questions before she was interrupted by your crazy best friend, did she? My anger swelled continuously within me. Ethan, you know Olivia's personality. How could she possibly apologize? For sake, I had to take a deep breath. The most important thing right now was for Chloe to agree to write the letter of understanding. It wouldn't be good to have a stain of detention on her record. I stepped past Ethan, looking at Chloe. Olivia apologizing is out of the question. Chloe, do you have any other solutions? I noticed her gaze kept darting towards Ethan. She looked as if she was waiting for Ethan's instructions. I almost said it. If giving Ethan to you would solve the problem, then I'd agree. That thought just flashed through my mind. I actually felt a sense of dark humor. Chloe still didn't speak. Ethan completal. Why obscured her figure? He had finally found my point of vulnerability and pressed hard. He insisted on making me back down. If can't apologize, you can always apologize on her behalf, can't you? The rising tone of that sentence added an unwarranted mockery. I parted my lips, and the scene from moments ago flashed through my mind. I was the only one who hadn't physically reacted just now. He actually made such an outrageous demand. Not agreeing? Then let's go. He pulled Chloe's arm, and Chloe followed happily with small steps. Looking at his unyielding demeanor, I felt a headache coming on. Wait. He stopped as if he had expected it, turning to me and slightly raising an eyebrow. Have you thought it through? My heart felt as if it was being tightly squeezed. The suffocating feeling of being unable to breathe almost consumed me. The man who, to make me humble myself, would stomp on my pride. And the image of the boy who said I was sharp to protect myself merged into one. My heart died completely. It was like a dried-up stone. Indifferent, no longer caring about my pride. I pulled at the corner of my mouth. If I apologize, you'll provide the letter of understanding, right? Ethan, suppressing the corners of his mouth, said, yes, and clarify the online rumors. I nodded, not looking at him. I directly said to Chloe, I apologize on Olivia's behalf. I shouldn't have rushed over when I saw my best friend's husband having dinner alone with another girl. I shouldn't have vented my best friend's anger. I shouldn't have accidentally injured you. My words were sarcastic, but they were still an apology. Ethan was silent for a moment, then decided to leave the decision to Chloe. Chloe, what do you think? Chloe looked at him, her expression docile. Mr. Ethan, since Sophia has spoken, of course, I won't make things difficult anymore. Ethan looked relieved to hear that. 11 While was writing the letter of understanding, Ethan quietly spoke to me. Perhaps my apology had put him in a good mood, as he even found the energy to talk idly with me. I was also wrong today. There's nothing going on between Chloe and me. How long are you going to be sulking with me? Chloe's pen paused, and she looked in our direction with reluctance. I automatically distanced myself from Ethan. Ethan seemed displeased by my action. Are you angry just because I asked you to apologize? He didn't notice Chloe's expression turned somewhat grim. He walked over to me. He lowered his voice. She's a girl, I can't always side with you. What would others think? His self-righteous words amused me. The look of hidden satisfaction on his face when he saw me humble myself was still vivid in my memory. Yet he acted as if I had amnesia, saying things that were supposedly for my own good. I glared at him, unable to bear it any longer. Get lost. His lips moved. His prepared words were swallowed back. After the letter of understanding was written, Olivia was released quickly. When she saw me, resentment and indignation filled her face. I'm so angry, what is all this? I tried to smile at her, but I found I couldn't manage a smile. Ethan came over to play the good guy. Why don't you ride in my car? Olivia was confused. She looked at me, then at Ethan. What's going on? Are you two having problems or not? Ethan looked at me eagerly. I was tired. Ethan, tomorrow I'll have my lawyer draft the divorce agreement. If you don't agree, I'll file for divorce. Then I looked at Olivia. I'll be staying at your place for a while. Ethan's expression flickered with panic when he heard my calm voice. But being in a public place, he composed himself. I took a few steps towards him, raised my hand, and slapped him. That's your payback for forcing me to apologize just now. Chloe covered her mouth, but her gasp couldn't be stifled. Ethan's face twisted from the blow, and a 5-finger mark appeared on his pale face. I pulled Olivia and walked out, ignoring that gaze fixed on my. Retreating back. 12 Olivia accompanied me home to pack a light bag. Because we left in a hurry, I could only take a few changes of clothes. I didn't want to run into Ethan. I packed a few things and wanted to leave quickly. I thought he'd have to take Chloe home first, and that would take a lot of time on the road. But I didn't expect him to return so fast. Olivia and I were just about to leave when we heard the sound of the elevator door opening. He blocked the doorway, his eyes fixed on me. Sophia, let's talk this through. On the way, I had already told Olivia everything that had happened between Ethan and me recently. Olivia knew about Ethan publicly playing my snoring at the company. She was already indignant on my behalf. Controlling her furious emotions, she stood in front of me. I'm definitely taking Sophia with me today. I dragged my suitcase behind her. Olivia pushed Ethan aside, clearing a path for me. Just as I was about to pass him, he reached out and grabbed my suitcase. Ever since Chloe played my phone out loud, you've seemed to hate me so much. Let's say that incident was my fault, but didn't you also expose my flaws at the dinner table? I shook his hand off. You still don't know what you did wrong. My emotions almost made me pour everything out at that moment. He shouldn't have let his subordinate touch his phone. He shouldn't have had a private dinner with a female subordinate. He shouldn't have made me apologize to Chloe. He shouldn't have ignored others mocking my snoring. But it didn't matter anymore. My decision to leave was made. Even if he genuinely apologized and admitted his mistakes, it would only be an added burden for me. The divorce agreement, remember to sign it. Olivia pulled my suitcase for me. Before leaving, she glared at him intensely. 13 After I arrived at Olivia's place, I was afraid Ethan would harass me. So, Olivia and I decided to take annual leave and go on a trip to an island resort. Only by being far away from familiar people could we truly achieve inner peace. We played for 5 days and had a blast. However, on the day we were preparing to return, I suddenly received an untimely friend request. The profile picture was an anime girl. Instantly, a name came to mind. On a whim, I accepted. I sent her a question mark. The other side immediately replied with a cute bowing emoji. I'm so sorry, sister, I heard you and Mr. Ethan are having divorce issues. It's my fault. Please don't be angry, sister. I looked at these 2 messages, momentarily unable to discern her intentions. Olivia saw my expression, leaned over, and glanced at my phone screen. She commented, scheming and manipulative. I silently put down my phone. I didn't respond to her words. Seeing the messages from Chloe forced us to think about those troublesome things. Olivia suddenly had an idea and opened a video app. In her favorites, she found the video that netizens had secretly filmed in the restaurant that day. The popularity of this video kept increasing, and it was still not taken down. Even though Olivia later clarified in the comments section that she had misunderstood, netizens didn't take it seriously. The video's popularity was so high. Chloe didn't seem very anxious about her reputation being damaged by this. So what exactly did she want? 14 After returning to Olivia's home, I quickly tidied up and then took a taxi to the shared home Ethan and I had. Before going on vacation, I had already had my lawyer mail the divorce agreement to Ethan's house. If all went well, he would have signed it. I specifically came on a weekday because I didn't want to run into Ethan. But it turned out he had changed the password while I was away. I tried several passwords he might use, but none worked. At a loss, I reluctantly took him off the blacklist. The phone rang. From far to near. When I realized the ringing was coming from inside the house, The door opened. Ethan stood at the doorway, dressed in loungewear. Suddenly remembered that I had logged into my ticket booking website account on the computer at home. He could see my return ticket. 5 days later, his face looked gaunt. I don't know what pity play he was putting on. Sophia. His lips moved, and I knew what he was about to say without him saying it. I didn't give him a glance, walking past him into the house. He followed me, rambling on about his reflections after I left. I won't let anyone touch my phone again, don't be angry. I've already scolded Chloe. Now she knows her place as a subordinate and wouldn't overstep. Sophia, can 10 years of relationship just end like that? He said, sounding somewhat annoyed. I stopped. Ethan, when you let her touch your phone, what were you thinking? He was stumped by my question. He mumbled the question to himself, an expression of incomprehension on his face. What would I be thinking? I wasn't thinking anything. I shook my head. No. You were gloating. Gloating about smoothly pushing boundaries, gloating that you didn't make a move, yet a young girl threw herself at him. Ethan's expression froze. He had been hit where it hurt and could only look away. Don't be talking nonsense. There's absolutely nothing going on between me and her. I was taking out the perfume I bought from the living room cabinet. It's fine. I'll step aside, and she can take my place. Seeing that I was unyielding, he could no longer pretend to be humble. You really are. Before he could finish, his phone rang. From the other end of the call came low sobs. Before the person on the other end could speak, Ethan's expression changed. Where are you? 15 The person on the other end didn't speak, just kept crying. Seeing his expression, I clearly knew something had happened between him and Chloe these past few days. Ethan grew anxious when the other person remained silent. I'm coming to find you. The other person hadn't even given an address. Where would he find her? Our usual spot? Or her home? Both options were intimate, yet Ethan still wanted me to change my mind. I looked away, continuing to pack my things. Ethan hung up the phone, his gaze lingering on me for a moment. Sophia, I'm going out for a bit. He went back to the bedroom to change and rushed out of the house in a hurry. He didn't even notice that I hadn't said a word. Without him there, packing was much more comfortable. When I got tired of packing, I sat on the couch in the living room. When we bought the house, we were not very well off. We had visited every furniture store then. This couch was our favorite. But it was slightly over budget. In the end, Ethan and I bit the bullet and decided to buy it. Once we were divorced, I definitely wanted to take this couch. No, this house already had my share in it. Just as I was trying to divide my and Ethan's assets in my mind, my phone suddenly showed a call request. I picked it up and saw it was from Chloe, who had messaged me a few days ago. I originally wanted to hang up, but I thought her call must be for a reason. So, as I pressed the answer button, I took out my old phone from under the coffee table and pressed the recording function. 16 As I expected. The moment the call connected, the person on the other end didn't greet me. Instead, the phone was carelessly placed aside. Her voice was loud. Ethan, come on, let's keep drinking. So they were drinking. Footsteps echoed in the background. Ethan's voice was also tinged with the haze of alcohol. Am I a very bad person? They clinked glasses. Chloe's voice was soft and sweet-sounding. Ethan, if it's difficult for you, I can resign. Don't be silly, how could I let you resign? But, that video spread so widely, people even recognized me on the subway. That video? I switched to the video app and suddenly found that Olivia's clarification had disappeared. Was it deleted? So was setting a trap for Ethan here. Ethan heard her and felt terribly sorry for her. People online are like that, they believe everything they hear. Don't pay attention to them. I've already reported that video. Didn't Olivia clarify too? Don't worry, this will blow over soon. The sound of clothes rubbing came through the audio call. But what they said isn't wrong. I like you so much. The sudden confession left Ethan somewhat speechless. He didn't seem to want to refute her. The next moment, smacking. Not enough. Chloe was drunk, and I heard the sound of a belt being unbuckled. She mumbled, "Your wife was lying, it's not small at all." That sentence completely heightened Ethan's emotions. Chloe gasped. I knew Ethan was the one who initiated it. Once the crucial part was recorded, I had no interest in listening further. I wasn't their safety device. 17 With this audio evidence, Ethan had no room for argument. I redrafted a divorce agreement. It stated that the property value would be converted into cash at market price and transferred to me. I was also taking the couch. Ethan's head bowed, and he hesitated to sign. What's wrong? Didn't you say you and her were nothing before? Now you have something with her, and you don't want a divorce? Then what do you want? Ethan looked up at me, his whites bloodshot. It was a mistake. We were both drunk. I raised a hand to signal him to stop explaining. You don't need to tell me all this. Just tell me if sleeping together was a fact. Ethan's eyes darkened. His hand gripping the pen tightened. Fine. You don't need to remind me anymore. He became very agitated. If it wasn't for you and Olivia, would this have turned into such a mess? I found it a bit amusing. What does this have to do with Olivia now? He scratched his head. If it wasn't for someone filming Olivia hitting me and saying Chloe was a mistress, she wouldn't have had an emotional breakdown. If I wasn't afraid she'd commit suicide, would I have gone to her place to stay with her? Without any hesitation, I immediately retorted, right, staying with her, even DRI. King with her, was also Olivia's fault. Under my relentless sarcasm, he completely abandoned trying to argue with me. He quickly signed his name. Satisfied, I picked up the divorce agreement, ready to leave. I heard Ethan say in a gloomy tone from behind me, "Whether you believe it or not, before this, I never thought of anything happening with Chloe." The implication was that now he did plan on something happening with Chloe? I didn't turn my head. Then you can do as you please now. 18 A month later, Ethan and my marriage officially ended. Chloe came with him to pick up the divorce certificate. Clearly, they were officially together. When saw me, there was no awkwardness from her sneaky actions earlier. She even waved at me. "Sophia," she said. "You left a few accessories at home. Do you want me to mail them to you, or should I just throw them away?" It sounded like a polite remark. But wasn't she just trying to say that she had moved in shortly after I moved out? I looked at her meaningfully. Just throw away anything useless. After saying that, I glanced at Ethan. Ethan's expression was grim. His cheeks puffed out, as if holding back a lot of anger. "Let's go." He pulled Chloe and walked out. As for me, I only cared when he would transfer the agreed-upon money. 19 Buying the house then used up most of our savings. We had bought it when prices were at their peak. After the divorce, I got the money back. Although it wasn't a huge amount, it was enough for me to take out a loan to buy a small apartment when housing prices dropped. When found out, she even said that my marriage was like a financial investment. I next heard about Ethan when I went to interview new hires after the department expanded. One person hesitated to speak after seeing me. I looked suspiciously. He, however, seemed certain. "Sophia, it's really you." "Sophia?" I frowned with displeasure, recognizing him as one of Ethan's former subordinates. He clapped his mouth. "My apologies," I called. "You wrong. You and Mr. Ethan are divorced." Ignoring that remark, I asked him, what was the reason for leaving your previous company? Perhaps seeing that I was someone he knew, he didn't give me a standard, evasive answer. "It's all because Mr. Ethan and Chloe started dating." He complained to me as if I were an ally, saying that Chloe didn't let Ethan go out for business drinks. He said he used to think Chloe was like a good friend, but once they started dating, she became so possessive. Apparently, Ethan now received texts from Chloe every 5 minutes he was out. The funniest part was that everyone else was just an employee, but after Chloe and Ethan got together, she had an arrogance from suddenly being elevated. She always expressed dissatisfaction with their work. Since they were the veterans of the company, they naturally weren't happy. After interviewing him professionally, I told Olivia about it. She suddenly added, "Oh, right, do you remember that video? That video disappeared from my favorites a while ago. It didn't get taken down earlier or later, but as soon as they got together, it disappeared." What does that tell you? I had already guessed that Chloe was playing tricks when the video wasn't taken down back then. But I didn't care. She went to great lengths to get a divorced man. 20 big data is truly scary. Soon after, I saw Chloe's account. She couldn't stop showing off their relationship on her account. Later, one of her videos even made it to the trending list. But not everything that came with the views was good. A woman left a comment under her post, "You're the one who sent selfies to my husband a year ago, right?" Chloe deleted it very quickly. But netizens had already screenshotted and saved it. Apparently, a year ago, Chloe had also developed feelings for the male colleague who mentored her at her internship company. Nothing actually happened between them, but they had crossed the line. One time, Chloe sent the male colleague a selfie wearing in cute bunny pajamas. It was coincidentally discovered by the male colleague's wife. Chloe was supposed to be made a full-time employee, but because of this incident, she had to resign. This incident, along with the old video of Olivia hitting Ethan, was dug up. When the two videos were viewed together, netizens immediately understood that Chloe and Ethan's relationship couldn't withstand scrutiny. Fans of their romance suddenly felt disgusted. Moreover, Ethan's company did not allow employees dating each other. Once it was exposed, they negotiated, and in the end, Chloe left the company. Although there was a huge uproar online, precisely because their reputation was ruined, the two became a shared interests, making them inseparable. 21 After an unknown period, Chloe sent me a WhatsApp message, "Sometimes I really miss our simple life before." No need to reply. I was confused. Then it occurred to me that Ethan must have sent it. This made me absolutely disgusted. I took a screenshot specifically and sent the image back to Chloe. Account hacked? After doing all that, I completely blocked Chloe's WhatsApp. That evening, Olivia forwarded Chloe's latest video to me. This was her first video posted since her past was dug up. She posted the screenshot I sent her, accusing Ethan's ex-wife of sending such screenshots to provoke her during her pregnancy. When netizens saw her surfaced, they mocked her, saying that the image clearly showed Ethan's message, so she shouldn't blame his ex-wife, but Ethan instead. Although the video was quickly deleted, many of our former classmates saw it. As bystanders, they commented below, saying they had seen us together in social media posts just half a year ago. They couldn't believe we broke up so suddenly. Ethan's job was still affected. He had worked at the company since graduation. He had finally got promoted to manager. This time, he caused too much negative impact for the company and was fired. Later, I heard he found a new, demanding job. One night, he got into a car accident on the way home with a designated driver. Noah, Ethan's university roommate, brought me the news. He seemed to avoid others and whispered that Ethan still wanted to see me. He seemed to want me to go see Ethan. But I was rushing to catch a flight for a transfer to headquarters. I didn't finish listening. I hurriedly hung up the phone. Thank you for watching today's story. If you liked this video, please like and share with friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your views, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.